Winter did not arrive with noise. There was no single moment when soldiers realized what was coming. It crept in slowly, night after night, breath by breath. In late 1941, thousands of men stood across a vast front line in the east. They were exhausted but confident. They believed the hardest part of the war was already behind them. Engines coughed. In the mornings, metal burned their hands. Frost clung to boots before the sun had fully risen. Still, no one panicked. Not yet. Reports moved upward through the chain of command. Temperatures were dropping faster than expected. Supplies were not reaching forward units. Winter gear had not arrived. Each report ended the same way. A request, permission to move. But the front did not move. Men waited in foxholes that grew harder each night. Fuel froze solid in barrels. Rations turned into blocks of ice. Every army knows retreat is dangerous, but every army also knows when to bend. What these soldiers did not know was that the decision had already been made. Far from the front, in warm rooms with maps on the walls, a single order was being repeated. Hold the line. Do not move. Hours passed. Then, days. By the time the order reached every unit, the army was no longer advancing. It was no longer retreating either. It was stuck. That stillness, more than any enemy attack, would change everything. The campaign in the east had begun with confidence. Speed was the strategy. Encirclement was the goal. For months, German forces had advanced faster than any army in modern history. Cities fell. Armies collapsed. From a distance, the campaign looked successful. Maps showed deep advances. Enemy territory seemed endless, but success had hidden a weakness. Logistics. The farther the army moved, the longer supply lines became. Roads were poor. Railways used different gauges. Fuel trucks broke down. By autumn, units were already operating beyond planned limits. Winter equipment had been delayed. Many believed the war would be over before cold became a problem. They were wrong. As October ended, rain turned roads into mud. Vehicles sunk. Horses collapsed. Then the temperature dropped. Frontline commanders understood what this meant. They had seen it before. Cold did not just slow an army. It dismantled it. Weapons failed. Men became casualties without being shot. Movement became life itself. So warnings were sent. Again and again. But the high command viewed the situation differently. Every kilometer gained had symbolic value. Retreat meant admitting limits. The campaign had become more than military. It had become political. And politics does not like retreat. The decision was simple in wording. Absolute in tone. No withdrawal without direct approval. Positions must be held. To those issuing the order, it sounded firm. Disciplined, necessary. To those receiving it, it sounded unreal. Commanders on the ground saw their units thinning without battle. They saw frostbite cases rise faster than casualties. They knew holding ground without movement meant slow destruction. Yet the order allowed no flexibility. No local judgment, no adaptation. Movement stopped. Units that could have repositioned remained exposed. Reserves that could have reinforced weak points stayed frozen in place. The army did not collapse in one moment. It stiffened. Every hour spent waiting made the next move harder. Engines needed more time. Men needed more rest. The decision was not dramatic. No shouting. No speeches. Just silence and waiting. Cold punished hesitation. Vehicles that might have worked days earlier now refused to start. Fuel thickened. Lubricants failed. Medical units overflowed. Frostbite destroyed fingers and toes. Men were removed from combat without ever firing a shot. Enemy forces adapted quickly. They avoided direct clashes. They targeted immobile units. Supply routes were cut. Isolated units vanished. What could have been a planned repositioning turned into scattered withdrawals under pressure. Not because of defeat, because the chance to move had passed. The front line no longer made sense. It existed on maps, not in reality. That winter marked a turning point. The campaign did not end, but its character changed, from rapid movement to constant reaction. Losses mounted quietly. Equipment lost to cold could not be replaced. Experienced soldiers were gone. More damaging was the lesson learned. Orders would come late. Flexibility would be denied. From that point on, initiative slipped away. The war became defensive, step by step, all because movement had been delayed when it mattered most. The order itself was brief. Hold your ground. It did not mention weather, or supply, or human limits. History often remembers battles, but wars are also decided in pauses, in moments when nothing happens. When action is delayed, when movement stops. That night, an army did not lose a battle. It lost its ability to choose. And once that choice was gone, the outcome followed.